I want to build the largest financial application that ever existed. The number one thing we hire for at FOMO is integrity. I kind of feel once you compromise that, it just leads to a snowball effect. What are the reasons you want to work at this company? Oh, it's because you guys just raised a bunch of money from this like top tier VC. And if that's your reason you want to work at my company, like that's not why we're here. So if you have the best people, then you could trust to give them a lot. And my mom used to always say, like, if you're not on the right track, the universe will like throw you a pebble, then a rock, and then a brick. My worldview is that we come here for lessons. If you start to pay attention and do introspection, you could start to realize like what the lessons are. And I think if you can like accept something greater than you, then it just leads to a peace in your life and you can just fully trust.
Perspective, I think, is one of the most powerful things. All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back. On this show, we are unpacking the real inflection points that shape people, their businesses, and really kind of digging into the constraints, tough decisions, any pivotal elements that sort of unlock their next stage of growth, clarity, whatever it is that it really might be. I kind of want to take what everybody sees from the outside and peel back the onion layer a little bit more to, showcase what might be less obvious to people overall. And, today we have my very good friend, Paul Erlanger, on the show. Paul is a variety of things as an individual. I would say I'll give the business intro of co-founder and CEO of FOMO, which is fresh off their $17 million Series A fundraise. So massive congrats there, dude. And it's interesting, man. Paul and I met not that long ago, a year and a half ago, through a mutual best friend at Simon's 30th. And my first impression was, this guy is fucking smart. And two, I could just get a really good sense of you are a good dude. Like I could tell that our values were very aligned. I could tell that the way that you treat people, I could just tell that our energies were really in sync. And I think we got to, I think, know each other really quickly. And I feel like I consider you a very close friend, even though we haven't spent, as much time together, because I feel like we went to depths about life, purpose, etc. that is kind of difficult to go with everybody. And that was really, really cool. I've learned a lot from you. I admire you. You inspire me with all the things, how you operate and how you move. And dude, I'm just stoked to have you on the show and excited to talk a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. And I say all the same things about you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you pretty deeply over the last year and a half. And it's rare that you find someone that's super high integrity, but also that can go as deep and has this very similar fundamental understanding of the world. So I think that's why we bonded pretty quickly, and it's a pretty incredible thing. It's like rarely in life you find those people.
Yeah, and I actually think about it. I think I always said that you can only go as deep with someone as well as they know themselves, and it's something I've seen over time. There's people that maybe I know for 10 years, and I still don't feel like I know them, and I think oftentimes it just takes personal journey, right? If you don't know who you are, it's hard to like go to certain depths and certain layers with it. And with you, I feel like I'm always, I don't know, just kind of trying to throw questions that like people maybe don't usually get in like normal day to day. And I feel like with everything that I threw at you, you had a story, you had something that you could associate it with. And I was like, dude, this guy has definitely done plenty of introspective work. And like, but some of that's natural, but also some of that has to be intentional, right? Like you've definitely been intentional about learning yourself more and more over the years, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think, you need to know yourself very deeply before you can show yourself to someone else. But I've always been someone that's just been incredibly vulnerable off the bat. Like I don't have anything to hide. Mm-hmm. So I've always loved just talking to someone. And I think as long as the other person's also willing to be vulnerable, then you're able to kind of quickly get to know each other.
Yeah.
And
was that always did you always move like that, or did it change at some point?
I think so. I think I try to assume people are inherently good, and sometimes it bites you in the ass, and then you learn from it. But I try to like just be as open as I can, and then I don't know. It's like innocent until proven guilty. Yeah,
it's there's a saying of like you can be an optimist, right, or you can be a pessimist, but I'd almost rather be the optimist and fall on my face rather than be the pessimist and occasionally be right. And there's the balance of all that. That's an overgeneralization, but to your point, if you even when you go through those experiences of like somebody does you wrong, somebody lies to you, whatever it might be, it's pretty easy to be like, all right, I got to stop trusting people well. But the other side of it is just like, this is kind of par for the course. Like this just is what it is, and you learn how to sniff out the right people better and better. And I think keeping that mentality of like, I know there's good in all humans, and I want to, if I naturally give that off, like it's going to come back around.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I think it's just how people carry themselves, and in conversation, it's the little things you pick up on. You could like understand someone's view of the world. It's so funny. We were talking about this recently, but I just took the brace off, but I tore my bicep. And the set of circumstances that took me to get there, it was like I was at my friend's birthday, and then we were going to leave and drive home. But then I was like, you know what? We should stay a little longer. So we left back to the car. We were going to go back up to his apartment. And then they were like, no, let's go for a walk. So we went for a walk. And then we ended up at the playground, and I was on these Olympic rings and tore my bicep. And I think it's like this series of unfortunate events, and one spiral you can go down is if any of these small things didn't happen, then this tragic event wouldn't happen. But I started to frame it very differently. I was actually having a conversation with my brother. The opposite side happens too, when like all these amazing things lead to this miracle, and then you're like, thank God that happened, I'm the luckiest person. You feel super grateful for it. But if you have like a full trust for the world, and you actually believe like not only the best of yourself, or you're a very positive person in others, but also in like your worldview, then maybe you don't know what could have happened if this didn't happen. What if like I'm going to Zion in a week? What if I like fell off a cliff, and because I was gonna, I don't know, be less careful when hiking, or so like maybe all these small events that led to this thing happening was also a miracle. And I think you notice like how people frame conversations, and how they talk about things, and you could very quickly pick up on like if they are resonating with you and their worldview, and if they're vulnerable and open. And yeah,
I feel like that take is the trust that like things, as simple as it sounds, things do happen for a reason.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you think that like embracing that, like what has led you to embrace that? Was that, again, were you just kind of always moving that way? Were your parents moving that way? Like where does that come from for you?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of introspection and just experiences through life. I think that, yeah, I've just had some things happen to me that you can't really explain. And I think if you can like accept something greater than you, then it just leads to a peace in your life, right? You could always worry and lead to these thought spirals of all these things happening to you. But if you have just this general acceptance, it creates this equanimity in your life, and you can just fully trust. And my mom used to always say, like my worldview is that we come here for lessons, and there's like lessons that we're being taught, and if you start to pay attention and do introspection, you could start to realize like what the lessons are that you're trying to overcome. And when you overcome them, then the world like serves you something beautiful. But if you're on the wrong track, then like I feel like bad things start to happen. And my mom used to always say, like, if you're not on the right track, the universe will like throw you a pebble, then a rock, and then a brick, and then you really have to face whatever the lesson is that you're trying to overcome.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's people categorize it in so many different ways, whether you believe in God, whether not, like there's so many different, I think, classifications that people put to it. But I think broadly speaking, there's like if you do actively pay attention, it is fascinating how connected everything is, and how one thing, without that occurring, leads to the next thing. And it's so, if you jump to the judgment too quick, like when you tore your bicep, if you were like, dude, why did this need to happen right now? This isn't a good time. I'm like super busy. I'm in the bit, like it's so easy to like go down that rabbit hole, right? But having the mindset to like not having the mindset to know, like, to keep it on the right track, it doesn't happen overnight. Like it takes time to like develop that muscle, you know? And I don't know, I feel like for me, it was always, I definitely had to train it and focus on it. Like meditation was a source of help, but overall the practice of like a little bit of the mindfulness, but like a little bit of just like the letting go of the control to some degree.
100% detachment from the outcome, and just like trusting. It's having a full trust. And you could tell yourself that as much as possible, but if you don't actually believe it, it doesn't matter, because you're just going to thought spiral. And yeah, you could spend all your time bringing, like, I don't know, we definitely have these different frequencies, and like if you're thinking about all the reasons why something shouldn't happen to you, then you're going to portray something negative, and then more negative things will happen, right? Rather than you just having,
because that's your focus on. That's
exactly
true. Yeah,
exactly.
And I always think it's funny that oftentimes things are constantly happening. Our awareness of what is happening is based off of like the frame of mind that we're in, and it's why perspective, I think, is one of the most powerful things, because two people can be looking at the same situation, and one think that it's like, I don't know, it's about there's this dark cloud that's rolling in, and somebody can have a totally different POV of it. And that power of perspective, I think, also permeates to like leaning into that and using that in all facets of life is probably one of the most critical hacks I would say in life, because it almost allows you to step back and be like, you don't know what you don't know, and somebody's always gonna have a different perspective for you, and it allows you to keep that open-mindedness, right? So I'm curious for you, like you struck me initially and always to this day as somebody who's you're very intelligent. There's a lot of things that you know. How do you kind of balance, whether it's in life and business and so on, that confidence of like things that you've researched and things that you feel confident in, with also the open-mindedness to like accept and be interested in other opinions and a different take on things?
Yeah, my friend Tommy's actually amazing at this. Every single time he's anywhere with a stranger, he'll get into a deep conversation because he just shows a deep interest in everyone. And I try to stay humble, and I think that everyone has something to show. You never know when you're in an Uber and then like the Uber driver is an electrical engineer and teaches you something. Like everyone has a story, and I think you have to assume that. I had this experience meditating. I went pretty deep. This was probably about a year ago. It was one of the most profound experiences of my life. And it was actually when I was leaving my last company. I was going to take a year and a half off before I started FOMO.
I remember this, by the way, when you were not this experience, but I remember when I was talking to Simon, and I think you had just left, and I was like, what's Paul going to do next? And he's like, I think he's going to take this hiatus for a year and a half. And then next thing you know, I saw you raised your seed for FOMO. I was like, wait, what just happened? So anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, we can get into that story. But what's really funny is, so I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? I was on an island actually in Japan, this island called Naoshima Island. It's one of my favorite places on earth. Wow. And like Tado Ando does a lot of the architecture, and they have these beautiful museums. I recommend, that's like my favorite place. So I was there and I was meditating, and I started to think, I was like, okay, I'm going to spend this time. My intention is to figure out what I'm going to do next. And I was thinking, okay, like maybe I'm going to do a health tech startup, just thinking through things. And I had this moment that it was kind of like a mini ego death, where I was like this like external voice said to me, like, none of that's important, you don't matter, all of these things. And I started to panic a little bit. And then I had this realization where it's like, it's not that these great things won't happen in your life, all of these things, but it's not for me. And I truly believe that everything we do is for this greater play that we're all living. It's part of this greater consciousness. And I truly believe, I mean, obviously Buddhists, a lot of these religions think similarly about there only being one thing. And I've spent a lot of time trying to grapple, like, why do we live in a dualistic world where there's actually only one thing that exists? And I think it's because of these lessons that we're living. I think the only reason for dualism to exist is because humans need the autonomy to be able to make choices, to overcome and learn lessons. But I think each lesson that we're playing out, it's not for you personally, it's for this greater consciousness we're all part of. Because you never know how one thing I do will affect you, will affect infinitely all these other people that you're a part of, right? And maybe the action that you're taking right now, you're thinking of it only directly impacting you and then the one person maybe you're interacting with, but no, like that could have ripple effects that affect everyone, you know? And when I had that realization, it was this moment where it went from like this grandiose, like, oh no, like nothing's perfect, all these things. And then it just felt like this grand peace where it's like, as long as you can be at peace that what you're trusting your gut, you're doing the right thing, and it's not for you, it's kind of for everything. And then if you frame life in that way, then you always stay humble. Because when good things happen to you, you're not like, that was because of me. You're like, this is because of, like, I don't know, it's because of something bigger than yourself.
What is that like? What does that mean to you? Like something bigger than yourself? Yeah, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, if I had that answer, I wish I had that answer. It's something I'm still trying to grapple with. I don't really understand the larger meaning of everything. I don't know like why we're trying to learn. We have these lessons to learn, but yeah, I get that. It's something I'll probably grapple with for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, but that from a conceptual standpoint, even without like I mean, because that's basically like what's the meaning of life, right? Which you know,
we need a 10 out. We need a lifetime of podcasts.
Correct. People have been trying to figure that out for history. But to be fair, I think the one thing that is factual and that people can determine is like whatever is occurring in the current moment, in the present moment, is like that is real, right? That isn't something that can be changed. That isn't something that like. Right now, us having this conversation is actively happening, right? And I think that how we process, like, it's crazy how our brain can put us through this loop and can get us so like can get us down this thought process of why we should be doing something, and can oftentimes honestly like overcomplicate shit to the point where we make up these stories and we make up these reasonings for stuff happening that are oftentimes like it's just our brain fucking telling us that. Like at the end of the day, something is just exists. It is just happening. What always trying to pull like a reason and so on and so forth from it. And I think that, to your point, that story, like there's this wild sense of, you said you felt peace with it. I think this wild sense of peace when you kind of just like, instead of just saying what is that next goal and thing for and so on and so forth, and just detach from that result a little bit more and lean into like, well, if I'm enjoying and loving like what I'm actively doing on a daily basis, and that is the meaning, that is the intention of it, right? Because the end result in itself, if that's all you're focused on and you're not focused on how you're actually operating through it, what does it fucking matter? You're always looking ahead or you're always looking behind, right? And that's, I think I could always tell with you had this like regardless of all the stuff that you have going on, right? Even on our trip to Lithuania, like you're mid like crazy season with the company, and obviously you have to take calls and stuff, but you were still able to be very present. You were still able to be like very there, and there's conversations you can have with people, and they're kind of like, you could tell there's a bunch of shit that's going on in their mind. I feel like every time that we were talking, I was like, as much of his focus is like right here into like what we're actually talking about, and that's when the good shit comes, right? 100%. That's when like the good stuff comes.
Yeah, and like I'm not perfect. That happens to me all the time where I get distracted. It's like that's the paradox of life, especially if you're trying to live a material life. Like you can be a monk and just live and try to think and be present for your whole life. But if you're trying to make material change and do things that can inspire people, you have to be in the weeds on those things. And it's like starting a company, so many things are happening at once that not only is it super hard to be intentional about any of those given things, but then also to like be present and be able to like make the best decision then, and then go home and then be with your friends and be able to like be present with them when like 10 things happen to like that can impact your company. It's like it's really hard, and I think that's the constant journey. And I don't think it's something I try to stay humble, that that's not something you ever figure out. It's not like at one point in life you unlock like being able to stay present. It's something you constantly have to remind yourself of throughout your life to stay grounded.
Yeah,
you know, you got to have people in your life that surround you and be like, listen, like I don't think you're present with me at this moment. Okay, you're right. Let me kind of circle back, put my phone away, you know, because all of us are going to continuously get distracted, and life is a constant journey of coming back if you're trying to live a material life and make an impact.
Yeah, I was going to ask what do you do as you get busier, as you have more responsibility, as people rely on you for more stuff? What do you do to keep yourself grounded and you know, stay true to who Paul is?
Yeah, so routine I think is really important, and then surround yourself with the right people. The number one thing we hire for at FOMO is integrity. That's the number one thing, and I think that kind of gives me some peace of mind, because I know if people have to make the right decision, we'll come to the right business decision. Often we'll talk it out, but the one thing that you can never compromise, because I kind of feel like once you compromise that, it just leads to a snowball effect, is your integrity. So that's the number one thing. And then, yeah, just like not only people at work, but people at home, right? Like your friends, et cetera, your family, the people that could keep you grounded. I think that's really important. And then, yeah, routine. I know you probably have a great routine. I would love to talk about like your health routine too, because I know you really focus on it. I think that's really important to like keep your gut right, so you can like actually navigate life, and then also just like stay healthy generally, so for your physical fitness. But I try to do like wake up. I keep my phone outside my bedroom at all times. So it's like I have the 8 sleep, so that'll vibrate and wake me up on the warmth, but I'll try to always do that. And yeah, I think just like staying in routine, being with people who keep you grounded, those are the best ways to kind of bring you back.
And you said you guys, so like integrity, I agree on the integrity point, and I love that. I guess I always had this take that integrity can be elusive. And so how do you, when you say you guys focus on hiring based off of that, like what is that, how do you approach determining if somebody has high integrity or not?
What are the reasons you want to work at this company? And then someone will be, it's like, it's the small things. You have to trust your gut. But like, what are the reasons you want to work at this company? Oh, it's because you guys just raised a bunch of money from this like top tier VC. It's because I think you guys will make a bunch of money, and then like there will be a great exit opportunity. This happens. Like people, it's funny because you think that like some people are really good, or like sociopathic, and like are really good at like making up things to make you believe them. But most people are just honest, and like 80% of the candidates, that's their reason. And if that's your reason you want to work at my company, like that's not why we're here. We're here to build something that's going to inspire people, that people are excited about. So you get this candidate that like the reason they're here is because you're building something super cool. I think it's gonna be revolutionary. I'm excited about that. That's a green check, right? And then like, listen, you can't fully filter out, right? There's only so much you can do, but luckily no one's compromised their integrity. But I think we'd quickly move away from someone if they had to compromise that. But a lot of it is just a test of time. And it's funny because I had this one realization like months ago with FOMO, because we're trying to build for the next 5 to 10 years. We're trying to like outcompete the behemoths of the industry. And I think a lot of people, especially in the crypto industry, are super short-term focused. But because we're very long-term focused, we're always, just trying to build something for the long term. And you want to bring people on that also want to be there for the long term.
Yeah. And there's also what's difficult with it is people can say one thing and obviously operate in a different way. And when you're interviewing, it's like we all know, actions speak louder than words, obviously, but like you can't, your interview process, unless you're going to make it extremely long, it's hard to see how people actually move. So to your point, time does tell. So you can, as much as possible, have these frameworks of like, this is a positive signal, but you don't really know until they come in, right? And then it's pretty quick. The people in your office, your team, everybody, within a few weeks can like sniff out like, at some point true colors show.
Exactly.
Right. And that's where your strictness on like cutting things off as quickly as possible and maintaining that culture is absolutely pivotal. And I think for you guys, how many people are on the team now?
I believe we're 11 full time.
11 people.
Yeah.
And I guess give us the we breezed over it, but you came, the quick background, you went to NYU.
I went to NYU.
And then take me through the journey to DYDX and then to FOMO.
Yeah, so I studied physics at NYU, and I was always very interested in
physics.
Yeah, because I'm very curious about the world and like how things fundamentally work, and I really think if you can understand fundamentally how things work, then you could build up understanding. So I tried to understand like the fundamental facts about the world, so then you could like build up understanding of things, and rather than just like I guess we're thinking analogously and listening to other people, because I mean people all the time lead you the wrong way. So I always thought I was very interested in physical products. So I like started this like rocket organization called Rogue Aerospace. We were trying to be like the aerospace club at NYU, and they wouldn't give us funding. So we called it Rogue Aerospace as a joke. And then like 60 people within a year joined this team, and we were like building these rockets. So and then NYU was like, okay, we'll take it on. And then it's kind of just ended up doing finance, because NYU, obviously New York is like the financial capital of the world, and I was doing private credit for like solar energy and electric vehicle facilities, and that was really interesting, but honestly just didn't love being on the finance side. So 3 months, I actually met Say. Say was at Yale, my co-founder, during a summer internship. And then we actually like were really close on the internship. I visited him at Yale senior year. We graduated. COVID hit in 2020. We graduated, and then we both went back to Deutsche Bank. And I was there for 3 months. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to be here. My friend was working at DYDX, this new decentralized derivatives exchange raised from Anderson Horowitz and Paradigm. So I joined. And then 3 months later, I was like, Say, you got to join this team too. So he joined as well. And then I was there for about 4 years. We made about $1 billion in revenue in a year and a half.
Wow.
We had mostly crypto native market makers, but I scaled the book of business there to like Jane Street, HRT, like all like the biggest names. I was the head of biz development. And Say was the head of core trading product.
Got it.
And then after like 3 or 4 years, it was well, honestly, I think all good things require sacrifice. I think there's like the law of the universe, like whether it's working out it was a hard decision for me to make, because I was making decent money. I was getting to travel the world with my friends, like for conferences, and it was very high value to the business, but we got to do that. And it was just I loved my time at DYDX at the beginning, but for some reason, it just like as towards the end of my tenure, I just wasn't happy anymore. And like literally at the beginning of DYDX, I had an experience that I never had in my life where like on Sunday I was excited for the week. Like you want to be excited for work. That's incredible. But I didn't have that towards the end. So I spent a week on this island in Japan, like I told you, and I just realized, okay, I got to leave. So I came back and left. I was going to take a year and a half off. And then I was thinking about like doing this like, startup accelerator in New York with my friend Jake. And me and my co-founder Se Young went to Joshua Tree for our birthday. That's why we're doing Zion. It's like
cool.
a 1-year reunion.
Oh, nice.
Because FOMO didn't even exist at this time last year. So we incorporated on like December 24th, 2024.
Wow. That's wicked growth.
I know. It's a lot has changed in a year. But yeah, then a couple months later, like obviously the new obviously the presidential election happened, and I think a lot of, and we could talk about this, but I think there was like a lot of unnecessary, like the SEC at the time was like attacking the crypto industry for no reason. And I think consumer protection is extremely important, but they did a lot of things there that I didn't agree with. But then, so I was like, I'm going to leave the industry. But then when that happened, and among other things, I thought FOMO would be an incredible project. Se Young and I had spent about like the past 2 or 3 years just like talking about consumer crypto, but we never thought we'd start a business. And then, yeah, we're doing it because we love what we're doing. We want to inspire people, and we could talk about the vision of FOMO if you're interested. But we're not doing it for the outcome. Our goal is to just like, I have that feeling back again. Like Sunday, I'm excited to go to work. We work with this amazing team. I get to work and build something really interesting with like the most incredible people I've ever met. And that's why we're doing it.
Well, what I guess before we get to FOMO, at your kind of prior experiences, like what from when you think back to those years, was there any like key kind of moment or two that you think of that really shaped the way that you think about whether the way you think about business, product, services, business development, like what are kind of the most memorable points in time from pre-FOMO era?
Yeah, I remember there was a time where we were actually in Japan a separate time. My only other time in Japan. I don't go there all of the but we were on this like boat, and I remember I was actually talking to Say, and Say was like, "Can you send me some Bitcoin?" He had to send me this alphanumeric string for his address, like 8345, like that. And we're like, "This is such a shitty experience." And then he started trading a little bit, and you need to like make a Coinbase account. Then it takes 3 days for your bank deposits to hit. Then you need to bridge to on-chain. Then you need to connect to a protocol from a separate wallet. Then you need to connect to a validator so you don't get sandwiched. Then if something goes wrong, you go through this block explorer, super clunky, and all the experiences are terrible. And I've always been so inspired by technology, especially consumer technology. I think curiosity is the ultimate form of love. And I just like am such a curious person. Like I got the Apple Vision Pro, and I was like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever used in my life. I ended up returning it because it's like not very social, and I think like it doesn't have much use case. But like I used this, and I was like, it's like it's so much love around it. Like we came from nothing, like sticks and rocks, and we built this thing. It's incredible. So I've had this love for technology, and I think about the early internet. And in the early internet, what the personal computer did is it allowed access, like human access, to something that only, like, I guess experts were able to access. Like 20, 30 years of infrastructure was built. DARPA developed the internet, all these things. And then Apple stole the mouse from Xerox PARC, created this personal computer. And then when you first had the personal computer, all you could do was type and draw. There was no money transmission, no content creation, no social media, nothing. Then as people started to get more personal computers, then this whole new industry was created where people can actually write and message and interact and create this like a lot of global communication, send money, all these things. And I feel like we're at a similar point with crypto where everyone's been building infrastructure for the past 20 years, right? And the infrastructure is finally there where we can create a user experience that an everyday person could use that's absolutely incredible and gives access to this new world to everyone. And it's different than the internet. It's not necessarily about like social communication, but I think it is social, and that's why FOMO is social. But everything is going to come on chain because the token, digital assets, is the best architecture for value transfer that's ever created. Like fintech over the past decade has been such a ruse. All it did is take our traditional banking rails and allow you to like click buttons on the internet to interact with that, but none of the underlying infrastructure changed. And if you believe that everything's going to come on chain, stocks, stocks, bonds, everything like native digital assets, prediction markets, perpetuals, yields in forms of I don't know, like a savings account, then you need an app where people could easily access these things. And that's kind of the inspiration for FOMO. Hopefully it's like this graphical user interface moment where people could finally interact with this new technology that they never had access to.
And is your, I mean, I can hear and I've seen the passion of it, but is it like is it does it stem from your just fire to like solve this problem that you see in the space? And like you said, you're not here for the result, right? Obviously financial freedom and all that stuff is nice for everybody, but what is it that is on that Sunday when you're stoked to go to work? Is it the people? Is it like building something that no one's built before? Is it solving a problem? Or is it just like you're just in this rhythm and you guys are having a fucking blast? Like what is it?
I think it's some of all of that. I think it's definitely just solving an interesting problem with incredible people. That gives me so much joy. But also the thing is really important because this is something that like I've been crypto since 2021, but I even bought my first Bitcoin in 2017, which is later than a lot of people. But I've been, and my parents are always asking like, or my friends are always asking, what are you doing? And now you could finally show them. Like when we were building a decentralized derivatives exchange, like they had no clue. How do I show them what I'm doing? Yeah. But like now with the current product, we can show them. And I truly believe that this technology is incredible and everyone's going to need access to it. And I think that I want to help create the experience that makes it the most pleasurable and that gives people joy in using it, right? Because people eventually, it's inevitable that they access it. So why not create the best experience so it gives those people joy? And I think seeing people use the application and seeing how beautiful it is and it's really easy to navigate, but we also like, there are certain details that are like, one of my favorite artists is this artist named James Turrell. He's like a light and space artist. I know we've talked about this. The button on the FOMO app, we created this like it's kind of like a lavender blue, and it looks like it's glowing a little bit. And then the background used to be black, but we just updated the design where it's navy. And what we did is we took the skew of the color of the deposit button and we offset the background by that same blue a little bit, so it looks like the light from the action button is diffusing into the background. And like we're that detail oriented in the design where obviously you only understand that subconsciously. No one's gonna like go into the app and like notice that detail, but the love and care that you show to these things, people do notice subconsciously. And I think it's necessary to really build that experience for people. So people don't know that exact detail, but like when I see people use it and smile and like this is incredible, that gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah. Did you always have the like where does your design like obsession come from?
Yeah, so my dad does furniture and lighting for hotels. Okay. So I think it might like run the family a little bit. I think when he like would show, we'd always have like downstairs in our basement just a bunch of samples of different furniture. So I'd always like look at them, like kind of develop what I like, what I don't. He would have like different wood panels, and I'd look at all of them, and I think that's somewhat where it came from. And yeah, I don't. Besides that, it's hard to tell. Like a lot of my friends are designers. I think spending time like on Naoshima Island, like going to these museums and seeing like Tado Ando and like the brutalism. And I think I'm very into interior spaces specifically because that's where we spend most of our time. Like obviously you want to spend time outdoors, but then nature is perfect as it is. Yeah. You don't need to alter anything, right? But then in indoor spaces, that is man-made inherently. So I think there's something there because you feel very differently depending on what space you're in. And what I realize is, in New York City, there's very small spaces and it's hard. But when you enter an interior and it's like super open and it's like minimalist, it makes me feel like uncluttered. It gives you these inspiring creative thoughts, etc. So bless you. So just trying to emulate that. So I think most of my interest for design is kind of being inspired by what other people have shown me, having a certain feeling inside, and then trying to continue to alter that to recreate that feeling.
Yeah, and I know that you was it your old company's office that you designed?
Yeah.
And it seems like there's this intersection of like the technology, product, user experience, and the design architecture world. Like, it is again, I see your interest and passion for that, and it's so fascinating. I think I always admired architects tremendously because it's like you take this, again, nature we don't touch. Nature in itself is gorgeous, but how do you take this space on Earth and put up walls, put up floors, put up shit around it, and when now you've customized this experience that people feel something when they walk through the door, they see different things, and curating that is like there's layers to that shit. Like there's how the lighting comes in, the time of day, all this stuff. When we on our trip this summer, like we're at that one like hotel, and the design of the space was so ingrained in nature that we were all like, this is just like so freaking cool. And you could tell how perfect. The energy like flowed through us and so on. And it's interesting your how much focus, and like you were describing with the FOMO, like the actual app button itself. And it's so interesting to see like the line that people have from an experience, from a design, what they feel and see with something, and how that actually makes them feel, and the power that like really intentional design and architecture to any degree can have on somebody's actually like feeling, right? Like to your point, like exactly. Subconsciously and consciously. Yeah, that's fascinating. I think like when you think of what you guys are doing now, right? There's a problem you guys are solving, then there's the app itself, and so on and so forth. Like, how much are you thinking like, okay, how old are you? 28?
Turn 28 tomorrow.
28 tomorrow. Yeah. Big day. How much are you thinking like, how many years do you want to be doing this? Like what's the, what is the future and overall direction of like where this is taking your life, where you want to be spending your life? Like how much are you stepping out of like the day-to-day of like building what you're building to think of like the trajectory of your life and so on?
Yeah, it's a balance, because like we talked about before, the only thing that exists is the present moment. So trying is to stay present, but yeah, I hope I'm building FOMO forever. I don't plan to ever stop. Like I think that's how you have to build businesses, right? Like if you're thinking about the outcome already, then your intention in building it is very different. Yeah. Like we're trying to build something that is life-changing. Like I want to build the largest financial application that ever existed, right? And if you have that vision, then that's something you're going to work on for a long time. And the reason why it takes time is not because all of these features take time to build. And that's what I'm realizing, because we could ship every feature that we want to in the next 5 years in 1 year by hiring more, etc. But then the app's gonna fail. And it like all wraps the thing about time, where I had this realization. I remember I was on this thought pattern before, but I lost the train of thought.
Yeah, no, go for it.
But I had this idea where it's really important to not move with haste and to take your time with things. It's this balance, because when you're scaling a social application specifically, there's going to be a lot of organic growth, and like it's very spiky. Like we raised our Series A, and then a week later we had a 10x growth opportunity, like 10x growth thing right after we raised our Series A, and we're now doing like $20 to $40 million in volume a day, all these things. But as you ship new products, you have to do it organically and slowly, because this social graph is an organic system. It's people interacting. So if you try to bring too many people in at once, it overwhelms the system. If you bring the wrong type of people in, or if you attract people through incentives that don't organically want to be there, but are from some external purpose, then it just like destroys the whole system. Like Clubhouse during COVID was doing really well. They had a ton of organic users, and then they paid a lot of celebrities to come in. And then all of a sudden, who is the app for, right? And then all these users leave. So it's a very fragile system. And you ask, like, how long do I want to be building this? And the reason I say forever is because I think it takes so long to build revolutionary products, not because it takes long to build them. There are certain things, like if SpaceX could build their entire Starship tomorrow, the final version they would, right? But like with social applications or these organic systems, they take time to build, and you really just got to give them love over time. And that doesn't mean we're stopping velocity of shipping. Like there's a ton of things we want to ship, but like there's so many things that we have ready to ship, but we're just waiting for the right time to do it. And these things just take time. But yeah, I see it as a forever thing. Hopefully I can also do interior design, other things on the side. Life can be multifaceted, but no plan to stop building FOMO.
Yeah. What's the as far as when it comes to like leading, managing a team, right, and kind of guiding direction, execution, all that good stuff. When the first time, I guess, that you stepped into a role like that, did that feel natural? Was there a big learning curve for you? What was that journey like from going? Because there's a big difference between having an idea and doing something versus like now you have people that you're
Yeah.
guiding and so on and so forth. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, the people on my team luckily don't need much guidance. These people are absolutely incredible, but yeah, you definitely take on responsibility. And I think over time, as the business scales, I think we don't need to scale too fast. I think companies scale way too fast. And Pavel from Telegram, everyone talks about how you actually get less done when you have more people. And like it's funny because that you hire it's paradoxical because you think that you will move faster if you hire more people. Yeah, but these people are incredible. Keith Raboy has this saying where pretty much, yeah, the more people you hire, the less you're gonna get done because these people are ammunition and it gets clogged. But then you hire barrels, and these like if you had a cannon, it doesn't matter how much ammo you have. If you have one cannon, you can only shoot one bullet at a time. But if you could hire more barrels, then you then can do more things at once. And I actually think FOMO, like from the beginning, everyone part of the founding team is a barrel. Like they just take their project, they do it from start to finish, and I think that's extremely rare. Like I feel like it's incredibly lucky that we were able to get the team that we are, and because of that, I can just give full faith in that they're doing what they're doing because there's a lot of unknown unknowns. Like my one of my co-founders, Prashan, he is managing a lot of the engineering team, but he doesn't really manage anyone. He's also an IC. Tina, who's a software engineer on our team, is like the most incredible front engineer I've ever worked with. She built our entire feed prototype in one day. She's a barrel. You don't need to give her that much oversight. Everyone on our team, Jay, Vincent, etc., they really can just take a task from start to finish and have full trust there. That's not going to scale. So over time, we'll have to learn that muscle. But for right now, we're in a pretty good place.
Did you have to go through like how many less exciting people did you have to go through to get to this team, whether it was at FOMO or whether it was at your prior company?
Yeah, I mean, we got pretty lucky. Most of the team actually came from the last company, DYDX, and we all had experience working with each other. We're now hiring like some people that we hadn't previously worked with, but everyone from day one who was part of the initial team had instant rapport. We recently hired Ian, who is a third employee at Uniswap. He had worked with Tina previously. So pretty much everyone that we've worked with either has worked with someone else in the business or someone I directly worked with. That also doesn't scale. Yeah, hiring is really hard because if you're hiring based off a resume, you can't really tell anything.
No,
it's just impossible, right? So what you can tell are some of the things that we said before. Why do you want to work here, for the money or for the business? But then after that, you can do a work trial, you get a little information about them. But I think it really takes a few months worth of working with someone until you could really figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, the other side of it too is like, it's finding good people, but then it's also like enabling them, right? Like there's great people that are, the culture and environment that they're in is just stunting them, and it drives them crazy. So I guess in the world of like, keeping incentivizing people, but like, bringing the best out of people, do you have a certain philosophy that you lead with that? Like, what's your kind of approach where you have these great people, but you want to let them max out with the stuff that they're actually doing and actually like enabling them and have that culture of something where we're all focused on the same thing? Like how do you strategically deploy that? Because one thing is telling them that, and then the other is actually operating and executing in that way.
Yeah, it's an exercise of trust. They have to feel comfortable coming to you to tell them when things aren't going well, like meaning that like someone's distracting them or like something that they don't believe. You have, as long as they try, and that's starting from the beginning. One thing we did early on at FOMO is we gave a lot of equity away to the founding team. We raised this angel round that was smaller compared to most seed rounds, so we didn't have to dilute the business as well. Instead, we like capitalized the initial team really well. So everyone who is like part of the initial team of the business is an owner of the business, and so they want the business to succeed. They feel like everything they do is high impact, and they have tons of skin in the game. And you need that. You need like, if you're gonna build a generational company, you need like 10 people who are the best in the world, putting everything they have into it, you know? So I think that's really important. And because they're owners of the business, they really care about what they're doing. Because they like love the team, they really care. And because they have, like, we're going to his birthday dinner tonight, right? My birthday dinner, thank you for coming. And my whole team is coming. Like my entire company is coming to my birthday dinner, right? Like that's incredible. And that's the level of trust we have with this company. It goes beyond work, you know? And because of that, they have a personal level of trust with me that they know they can come to me, and if they're not if the environment doesn't exist for them to perform at their best, they'll come to me and tell me.
That I remember you explaining the equity side of it and early on, which I think is, I think the most successful companies are the ones that are the most giving in that sense. And it is kind of funny when you want somebody to be going above and beyond for the business, but it's not their business, but like you're trying to like get them to do it. What was that an easy, quick decision from the start that you and Say were like, we have to do this, or like how? Because not every business, a lot of businesses don't move that way,
Yep.
right? So what was that? Was that like a long, in-depth conversation of like, okay, we should do this because this and this reason, or you both were like, this just has to this is the only way to do it if we don't want to build something that's like different?
It's just so intuitive. Like you want to build this thing and you want these people to be bought in, no matter what you say to them. If they don't have ownership, why would they care?
Yeah.
Like you have to give it to them. I think this is going to become more and more of a thing. I don't think it's super novel. I think people do it, and I think the main reason you don't do it is because of fear, because of I guess there's like a bunch of reasons why you might not give away your business. I think the only reason to be scared to give away more of your business is if you don't trust the people or you don't think they're high integrity. So if you have the best people, then you could trust to give them a lot. And that's going to come back so much more. Like we don't think about outcomes a lot, but if you think about it through first principles, the actual outcomes, like sure, giving away more equity makes the mid-size outcome a little worse, right? Because like, I don't know, you sell the business for, I don't know, somewhere in between like the absolute crazy bull case and then like liquidating the assets you have, then like sure, the percentage that you're giving away to your employees is probably significant. But like at the point where you're reaching your goal, like the opportunity is so substantial and so exponential, then it doesn't matter if you gave some away, right? Like at that point, like everyone wins and there's no reason to. And that's another thing what we did this, our seed round was fairly unique. We didn't do any institutional capital. So we just raised from friends and family. We raised from 160 different people.
Wow.
Like all friends, family, and people in the industry. So like traders, but then also like builders and CEOs of crypto projects, but friends and family too. And I had this moment where like, okay, it's like, it's way more high stakes than you think it is, because if you work with a venture fund, it's like not even their capital, it's their LP's capital, and just one investment for them, so they care less. And like you want to succeed because it's still reputational on the line, but it's not really that much because projects fail all the time. But then if you have your friends and family involved, you're like, I want this to succeed for them more than myself. Like literally everyone important in my life has equity and FOMO, and it's like if we fail, then I fail all of them. You know?
You put that pressure. You systematically put that pressure and design it in that way.
But imagine the success scenario where now everyone who you care about in your life gets to benefit off the thing that you built.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. I wonder, I mean, you're turning 28 tomorrow. Like the speed of, I mean, the crypto industry as a whole is like, I don't come from it. It's not my sphere. Obviously, I have like some good buddies that are in it, so I've learned over time, but it's naturally a young industry. I guess, there's many people in life that, when they're in their 20s, like they're figuring their shit out. You know what I mean? Like they're still like understanding themselves, understanding life and so on. And people oftentimes don't even get to this stage of like, co-founders starting their own company, maybe till their 30s, 40s and so on and so forth. Like where did the whether it's confidence or this, how did this speed, I guess, of like growth for you, how did it happen in this time period? Like where does this come from? Is it primarily confidence? Is it there's obviously natural intelligence, things of that nature, but where, like how have you gotten to this place, I guess, in this speed?
Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of you, and obviously still growing. So I try to stay humble about it, but I don't know. I think you never know how previous circumstances and events in your life lead to certain outcomes. And you could call it luck, you could call it fate. It definitely was a lot of hard work. I've always really I was always very interested in things like this and in growing and personal growth. And I just kind of tried to think intuitively about like where I want to be vaguely. Like if you told me in high school that I'd be starting a non-custodial like social trading application, this industry didn't even exist when I was in high school. Right. So you
yeah,
think about
literally.
like, yeah, it's like when you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut. Like Bitcoin wasn't created when I was a kid. Like how you can't predict things like that. But vaguely understanding that I want to create wealth for myself. So you have to have ownership in something. I want to be inspired with what I'm doing, and I want like my friends and family to be able to use it. So it's probably in consumer. And I don't know. I think you just like subconsciously and consciously make decisions that lead to where you are now. And I feel very fortunate to be able to be doing what I'm doing. Some days I don't, some days it's hell, but but yeah, I think it just I don't know exactly where the decision's laid. I think every decision kind of built on top of on each other. But I've always been interested in really exploring technology and also just like doing something that's intellectually stimulating. Like I did high school debate and spent like a bunch of time doing that. And yeah, I think kind of just all these things led to the current situation.
But I guess talk me through like your hard work era. Obviously you're working hard now, but even at your prior company, you over time you stepped into, head of business development, which like takes time, takes proving yourself, all this stuff. Like what was the phase? Was there a phase of your life where, I don't know, in that company where you're just your work is your life primarily, and you're just outside of sleeping, you're focused on the business and you're focused on whatever you can do, whether it's traveling to conferences, whatever that might be. Like what that hard work era, where do you think you really kicked it up a notch that kind of helped build that momentum to take you to where you are?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying before. Like I feel like when I was at Deutsche Bank, I wasn't doing good work, and I think that a lot of people around me were working a lot harder, and it's because I didn't love what I was doing. And you're a very inspired person. Like you live life like every day. Like you have, I think one thing, it's so funny. I'm getting a little off topic, but I had this Uber ride the other day, and we can get to exactly what it said. But he told me, he's like, everyone deserves to have a dream. That's what he told me. We could talk about the conversation that led to that.
Yeah.
And it's like when you have a dream and you're inspired, like you wake up every day, you imagine and visualize a future, and you're excited about it. I think that's one of the reasons we bond. And if you're at a company where you aren't inspired and you aren't excited, then you're just not going to do good work. So I think at DUIDX it was, and this is why it was so pertinent that I left, because when I wasn't inspired anymore, then I wasn't working as well and wasn't being as good. I wasn't like succeeding for the company. So it was time to leave, even though like financially the situation was decent for me. And that was a very hard decision. But I think as long as I'm inspired and excited about what I'm doing, then it's the right place at the right time, and it just comes naturally. It's not like I have to wake up and be like, okay, now I have to like work my ass off today. It's like I want to do it, and that's kind of the scenario you get to. I think I'm really bad at actually getting myself to do things that I don't want to do. But I mean, obviously, like I go to the gym and things like that, but in work specifically, if I'm not inspired and excited about it, then it's hard. There's obviously things that you do every day that you're not excited about and you get done. And you have to do that because you're excited about the larger vision. But if you're not even excited about the larger vision,
But that's actually, I think that, I honestly think people should embrace that more. And I'm not to say that like you should be shittier at your job, but like if you're not inspired by what you're doing and you're not enjoying it, there's a lot of people that just kind of just power through it and are like, I kind of have to be doing, and they convince themselves they have to be doing it and so on. I think what's crazy, like today is not like 10, 20 years ago. It isn't even like 5 years ago, where today there's more opportunity than ever before, and there will continue to be. And I think it's actually the people's responsibility, like, and there's a line here. I'm not to say be lazy, but if you're in a position where you feel like you're just doing something for the hell of it, or like people are asking you to do it and so on, but you don't have that fire, if you don't have that fire, then what are you even doing it for? And it's very easy to, maybe you're getting paid well, whatever that might be, but like the discipline to actually be like, I can't continue just pushing through this and powering through this. I can't keep doing this for the next years. Oftentimes takes a level of risk, because you're, what's on the other side of that, right? The other side of that could be you don't have the job, who knows, whatever. But I think your mindset of like, I'm not good at doing something that I'm not enjoying is is something that I actually think more people should kind of embrace. Like, I wouldn't even want anybody in my company to like, no, I want you to be doing something that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a distinction between not liking the individual task, obviously. Like, you're going to have to do tons of stuff that you don't want to. But it's worth it because you're inspired by the larger mission. That's what's important. Like, you have to, like, see a reason you're doing it. Yeah, as long as you see the reason you're doing it and you're excited about that, you have the dream. If you have the dream, then it's worth doing everything to get there.
Talk to me about let's talk about, like, I guess the financial side and the wealth side of this as well. Like, there's obviously a byproduct of building something unique, building something great is, like, you know, it can build into substantial value, substantial wealth for the owners, and so on and so forth. How do you think about wealth?
Yeah, so I think Naval has a really good thing about this that really shaped kind of my understanding of it, where to build wealth, you need to own something that people want, whether it's a property that appreciates. Like, running the rat race on a salary isn't going to just get you anywhere. So I think you have to build wealth by building something that people want or have equity in something. And I think how I think about wealth is a lot of people in finance and et cetera get really bad reputations because they acquire wealth through not necessarily providing value. And actually tons of finance provides value. Like, even high frequency traders, they're creating more liquidity on order books. Right. And I think people don't understand that. It's like they're just, like, scalping money. Like, that creates so much more opportunity for the whole financial market to operate. But there are some times where it's more extractive. And what wealth is its resources. If I have wealth, then I could use my wealth to do anything. I could, like, build an interior that really inspires people. I could donate it to people. I could, like, so many things. Like, you should be able to buy your nice car and your nice house. If you build something that's incredible, you should be able to do those things. But it's also responsibility because wealth is resources. And then if you acquire wealth, you are given the responsibility to allocate those resources responsibly to continue to do things to inspire others. And I think a lot of people eventually stop at that. And that's actually a huge responsibility. Yeah. Because, like, you can just sit on your ass and do nothing, but you should be able to do the things that make you happy. Like, if you build something, you should deserve the nice car or the house, but you should also have this responsibility to continue to allocate those resources to help people, whether it's whatever you do, building an inspiring interior, getting into art, like donating it to someone. Yeah. And it's not only wealth. I think you can donate $1 billion to saving dolphins in the ocean, but if you don't have someone fighting for it, all the money's gonna go to waste. Everyone's gonna take their piece, but, like, you need to, like, put in your effort as well. So that's how I see it. In terms of just, like, being wealthy, I really think that the beauty's in the journey, and, like, the end goal is not something you look to. And one exercise I do that really helps me understand that is I think about what manifestation is. And I think manifestation is feeling grateful for what you don't have already. Because, I mean, Joe Dispenza, a lot of people talk about this. If you could put your mindset into believing that you have what you don't, then it starts to become a reality. And if you put yourself, like, think about what your end goal is, then start to, like, believe that you already have it and meditate on that. And you can feel the emotion that you feel when that happens. And I just think about, like, exiting my company and, like, acquiring wealth, and I don't feel, like, satisfied. Like, it doesn't feel good because that's not what it's about. What it's about is, like, the journey I get to go on building it. It's about, like, building a family of people you love and the connections with other people. And then I start to think about, like, oh, I have, like, this, I have a family, like, they're grounding me. I have beautiful children. I have amazing friends, all those things. Then you feel fulfilled. So if you could put yourself into, like, the scenario of imagining those things. So how I think about wealth is it's a responsibility. I think it's something that can, if you put in effort, create a lot of joy and happiness and all of these things, but it also has a lot of downsides.
It inherently in itself doesn't do functionally actually anything.
No.
It could just be numbers in your account.
It itself is not energy. It can help acquire resources to make energy more efficient. I love the responsibility aspect of it, and I actually think that that's something that people don't often think about, because it is, you know, at a certain level you've gotten the stuff for yourself, for your family, and so on, and you're gonna have, if you're wealthy, you're gonna have excess, right? And then the question is, like, so what do you do with that? Like, you take care of your friends, but, like, how do you give it back? But how do you give it back? And, like donating is so broad, but how do you intentionally actually do that? And so I think that responsibility side is oftentimes something that if you're not ready for, you shouldn't even
it's not right to even achieve it. It's not even right to even have it.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. And I think it depends. I think a lot of it comes from the reasons why you're acquiring it. And yeah, it's really hard because you never know. You don't think about it, right? You just like do the things, and if the goal is to become wealthy, you do all the things to get wealthy, and then you're wealthy, and then you're not happy. But I think if you're doing everything and the wealth comes as like a secondary effect to everything else, then I think naturally you're gonna want to put effort into whatever's next.
Yeah. 100%. It is. You talked about family. You talked about these other things. How? I mean, you're young still, right? But how do you think about building this business, building something that's impactful and so on with, we talked a little bit about balance, but like, where does the personal, you're super tight with the people that you work with, but there's also close friends outside of that. There's like personal life, there's romantic life and so on. How, from a prioritization standpoint, how does that factor into all of that? Is that something that you consciously focus on? Obviously at some point in your life, you want a family and so on. So like what's the how do you process that at the end of the days, at the end of the weeks, and kind of time allocation and energy towards that?
Yeah, I think the people are the most important thing, whether it's a company or outside. And I think every day's different because some days there's fire drills at work and like the family understands. But whenever I have a chance, I'm trying to spend calling back home, spending time. This summer I went back. Luckily, my parents live pretty close, so like an hour outside the city. So like it's great to see them. It's great to have like an escape from the city and be like more time in nature. Spend time with my family there. Get to go on trips with you and Simon, all these other guys, and like just so lucky that you're in New York to come to this dinner and just like spending time with friends like that. And yeah, just trying to actively make an effort to do that as much as possible because you never know. And I had this realization recently, like it's so funny because you work so hard and then you have these moments where like for the first time in a week, all the Slack messages are answered, the Telegram messages are answered, and you have this break, and then it's so easy to like just lay back, like watch TV and stuff like that. And when I do that, then I'm like, damn, like there's so many other things I need to do in my personal life. Like I probably shouldn't have done that. You should definitely have time to relax. But when I spend that time like calling a friend and having an amazing conversation, you feel way more fulfilled. So just trying to spend the time where I'm not working to really spend time with friends and family. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
I got a couple other questions for you. I asked you something like this earlier here, but I'm curious. This came to me. What has been like is there like a philosophy or concept that you had at one point that a conversation or an individual, whether it's a mentor, a friend, whatever it might be, brought a totally different point of view, and it caused you to have like a shift in like your how you thought about that philosophy?
One thing immediately comes to mind. He was more of a peer and a friend than anything else, but one of my best friends, you actually meet him tonight, Jack. I went to high school with him. We did debate. He was like the most achieving and incredible person I've ever met in my life. Like he's played piano at Carnegie Hall. Like he's super talented. He like learned Spanish in like half a year. Like he's incredibly talented. And I would like be very focused in one or two domains. And he showed me that like if you put tons of effort in and you really like you can be and excel in all domains. And like it just requires you to really believe in yourself and to actually put that effort in. And there's like tons of things that like I thought I'd never be good at because we count ourselves out. And realizing him go through that like and just like I don't know, it gave me a lot of self-courage because he was very inspiring but also like very supportive. And I think like having him as a friend was really impactful to me because I realized that I could excel in more things if I just actually put effort into them. It's not like a philosophy, but I think that was like really impactful to my life.
Well, I think a lot of people have the take of you need to like stay focused, become the expert at this like one or two things, and you know, opportunity cost, right? Time spent elsewhere is not time, but there's that is true to some degree, but there's also there's also an easy way to challenge that. There's if you tap into your real skill sets and so on and allocate your energy properly, like you can learn countless things at the same time, right?
And people waste so much time. And it's not, I don't want to say waste in terms of like if you're doing something that someone else considers wasteful but that you find fulfilling, that's not waste. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but people spend so much time just like doing things because it's dopaminergic to give them like a quick dopamine boost or like stuff like that because they're lazy. But like if you actually spend time in that time doing things that inspire you but develop you, and like you have a lot more capability than you think. And that's what that made me realize.
Yeah, that's fascinating, dude. This is awesome, dude. I'm curious. So now looking into the next, we've talked about presence, future, and so on, but give me maybe over the next, I don't know, few quarters, when you think about life overall, it can be FOMO, it could be business, it could be something else, but what are you like most excited for in this current moment? It could be simple, it could be broad. Like when I ask you that, what comes to mind?
I think that there's a lot of I think we're at a very pivotal time in life when it comes to technology. This is going to be on the record, so like I might look like an idiot, but I do think some of the stuff with AI is a little overblown. Like I don't think that in 5 years, like everything about like super intelligence will happen, etc. I think that it requires a lot more data. I think it requires like another boost in compute, all of these things. And I think large language models, they're obviously not, they're really good at predicting human language, but they're not necessarily the same type of cognitive architecture that humans have where we learn from experience, like RL. And so, sorry, I'm kind of going outside there, but I am really excited about a lot, like AI. I think it can make a lot of improvements. Like even if we can get to a stage where it can like tell us more about diseases, et cetera, it's going to make human life a lot easier. I think we're on a huge breakthrough with energy. Like I think solar is going to be huge, and I think that we need to spend a lot more time scaling solar systems because, I mean, Elon says this, right? If we just covered the entire Nevada desert with solar, that would be enough energy to power the United States. The biggest issue, or the world, the biggest issue is like how do we transport that? And there's like companies like Terraform Labs, which are converting it to methane gas that you could like actually easily transport, et cetera. And then like in health and just like Neuralink and biology, like all of these technologies we're on the cusp of, and it's really incredible. I think there's a lot of downsides. I think technology is inherently neutral, and it's like how humans use it.
Interesting,
and I'm scared because if, like for example, AI does become super intelligent and it's in the wrong people's hands, it can completely control people because you could like create a bunch of deep fakes. You could pretend that there's like alien attacks, like all these things. But then at the opposite side, if it could completely free people, because if it gives you more time to explore your creative aspects or like what you're interested in, then it can be freeing. And I think this is true with all technology. So I'm very excited because I think that we are on the start to an exponential of this technology curve, and I have no clue what life will look like in the next 10 to 20 years, robotics, all these things. And I'm optimistic that humanity can get it right. That's what I'm most excited for. Obviously, there's a lot of things with FOMO that are really exciting. I'm excited to go on this trip to Zion. I think we might go to Yosemite. I don't know.
Yeah, next year, 100%.
So if we go to Yosemite, I'm really excited for that. Just spending time with friends and family, and yeah.
Yeah, I love it, dude. It's interesting that we didn't even get into like the AI side of this, but I think your take of technology in itself is neutral. It's just a matter of like how we utilize it, which is the difference between it all. And some people use it well and some people don't use it well, but it's fascinating talking to people when they're like, I don't know, people that make a blank statement of like, oh, social media is bad, or like, I'm not excited about it. It's
exactly.
It's what is that? What does that mean?
It brought the world together.
Yeah.
But then it also is created in such a way because they need to capitalize. So it creates this dopaminergic flow to keep people on the app that's addicting. And like, I think the stewards of the technology have a responsibility again to like do it in such a way that helps people and inspires people, and it's really important. And I think it's not, and then their excuse is like people could use it differently, but you're developing the system for them to use it poorly.
Yeah,
you want to develop the system to be neutral or help them, ideally help them do it in a positive way.
Yeah, literally. We talked about all sorts of stuff, but is there anything else that you're like very passionate about that you want to share with me, with other random people?
I've recently been getting into like more esoteric instruments. Me and my friend Lucas have exploring. So I have For my birthday, actually, someone got me this one called the Kalani. It's this like wood hexagonal instrument. Maybe you could put a picture up. I don't know, but it has.
I see this. That's interesting.
It's actually really cool. This guy in Austria makes them, and so yeah, I think that's something I've been.
What's like the interest to you? Like the sound? Is the sound unique? Is it the experience playing it?
It's the experience playing it. It's a sound. I think some of these like guitar is so technical. Like drums are so technical, and a lot of the instruments we have today require like a lot of learning. But these instruments, they're pretty simple. So like within a day, if you can like you just like start playing it, you like understand which notes are what, and then you could start like picking it up really quickly. And the act of like making music is such an incredible thing because you're like just like manifesting something out of reality, like out of the thin air to reality. And I think it's the start time on these ones are really simple. So it's really fun because anyone could come over and just like pick it up and play with it.
Mess around with it. I love that. Yeah. Cool. Music. That's a whole other bit, but I love that. I asked this to everyone. There's a lot of important principles we've talked about in life and kind of guiding. We talk about integrity. We talk about all these different things. If you had to kind of say one specific principle, what would be the one most important principle that you want to ensure to instill in your future kids?
Yeah, we talked about it before, but do everything with integrity. That's the number one thing. And there have been so many times like I think I learned that from my mom mostly because there's been times in business where my dad had a tough decision or just like things would come up. And my mom would always instantaneously know what to do. And it was always the most high integrity thing. And it just gave me this like optimism for humans because like people can be inherently good. I think that comes from her. And I think if you can always do everything with high integrity, then decisions are still hard because there's a lot of factors. And it's not always obvious what the best decision is when it's neutral. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing because if you compromise your integrity, then you can't live with yourself. Then you become super depressed. Then all of the things that you do start to become more negative. So I think it all starts there.
Love it. Thank you for this, dude. This is epic. I'm excited to continue to build this relationship, and we'll have a blast tonight. But over the coming years, I'm excited to see where you not just take this business, but how you continue to impact people. You've impacted me. You've impacted mutual friends. So I appreciate you. This was awesome. If people want to stay in tune with what's going on in Paul's brain and what you're doing, what's the best place to see you, follow your stuff?
Yeah, you could find me on X at Paul Erlanger, PAULERLANGER. Or you could find me on FOMO.
I was going to say, that's what I was waiting for you to say.
Yeah, download FOMO on the App Store. You'll be able to onboard in 30 seconds and deposit funds via Apple Pay really quickly. And I'm just at Paul on FOMO. We got to get you at Sean on FOMO.
I know.
Yeah.
Give me that status.
Yeah, we got you.
Love it, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fire, dude.